All right. All right. All right. Welcome back to the channel. Today is Wednesday, April 19th, year of our Lord 2023. God bless you. Welcome back. It has been quite a few days for me and my family. Last week was fun for social media and YouTube. We made some great videos. We had a lot of fun on Twitter, and that was great. I was called well, in fairness, I wasn't called necessarily a Nazi, but it was strongly implied that I've got Nazi sympathies, which was quite hilarious. But that's actually not the only time I've been called something along those lines. In fact, yesterday, somebody that was very surprising said that I might be a white nationalist, or at least I'm making white nationalist arguments. Who knows if I really am one or not? That's what he said. At least he did the courtesy there. You know what I mean? In any case, but so last week I had like three very, very aggressive videos planned. You know, like the first one was Neil Shenvi. You know, Neil Shenvi posted something on Friday, and I tweeted about it just kind of off the cuff because to me it was very clear that this was a very, very sophisticated rhetorical tactic. He was being very slimy, very weaselly, and all of that. But it became instantly obvious that it wasn't obvious to everybody. You know, a lot of people got it. A lot of people understand why it was so evil. It was an evil tweet, Neil. It's just that simple. But anyway, a lot of people got it. A lot of people didn't. People that normally get it didn't get it. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to have to do a video. And I was planning on making a thermonuclear just unloading on Neil. Because Neil, let's just face it, Neil has been this way for a long time. And I've always kind of just said, look, I'm grateful for Neil. Yeah, sure, he does stupid stuff like this a lot. But, you know, his heart's in the right place and things like that. I'm not so sure anymore. I'm really not so sure anymore. I've just seen too much at this point. And so yeah, I was going to go thermonuclear on Neil. And that video is still going to get made. I don't know how thermonuclear it's going to be anymore, but we'll see how it goes. Then there was another one by Amin Hudson, who was clutching his pearls because of something I said about how, you know, his strategy is to essentially either get you to vote Democrat, or if not vote Democrat, at least cut you at the knees for being too against people that vote Democrat, or things like that, or at least get you to really question before you vote for a white supremacist like Ron DeSantis or something like that. These are just examples. I don't know if he's actually against Ron DeSantis, but anyway. So I was going to do that. That was going to be another very aggressive video. I was going to do one on Justin Giboney because, you know, it was kind of related to the Amin Hudson thing, that he's a shyster lawyer who also, his whole shtick is pretending to be, you know, not political, you know, partisan anyway, but, you know, he wants you to vote Democrat. That's the bottom line. And it was just very funny. They were clutching their pearls. Justin Giboney has spoken against abortion. And it's like, yeah, I mean, you could speak against abortion all day, but when you vote for Ralph Warnock, it's like, what's the difference? Who cares? Anyway, but those were going to be some spicy ones. I was also going to do one on G3, and we're going to talk about G3 a little bit in this video, but this is not really going to be the video that I had planned, because I was getting all excited to just sort of just get out there and start, you know, just launching, you know, missiles, you know what I mean? And, you know, I do enjoy making videos like that. But then God kind of slowed my roll. You know, he said, look, I know you want to make these. He didn't say this to me, but this is how I took it. I know you want to make these videos, but you're going to wait. You're just going to wait. You're not going to be able to do it on Monday. You're not going to be able to do it on Tuesday. And you're just going to have to sit and think about this. And the way he chose to do that was by putting my wife into labor late on Sunday, or early Sunday morning. I was woken up at 1 o'clock. I was all in a daze. And my wife said, you know, it's time to go to the hospital. So we did. And then my fourth son here was born mid-morning on Sunday. What a blessing. He's so strong. He's doing really well. My wife's recovering very well also. It's just a real blessing. So we're back home. Everything's great. Thank you so much for your prayers, your congratulations, all that kind of thing. But it's just awesome. It really is awesome. His name is Luke. His middle name is Owen. And yeah, there you go. There you go. Luke Owen Robles was born on Sunday. From what I understand, Matt Williams had a baby born on Sunday too. His wife gave birth to a daughter, from what I understand. So just awesome stuff, man. Congratulations to Matt Williams. God bless you. God is just blessing his people everywhere. All right, so let's chat though, because guys, we can work together. Like we don't have to do this. We really don't have to do this. Here's a meme from Philip Derrida that I thought was really funny. It's got a boomer fed saying, "They want a Protestant Pope, my fellow Baptists. We can't support this." You know, the Protestant Pope, because you've heard a lot of Christian nationalists calling for the Protestant Pope. You know what I mean? It's a central part of Stephen Wolfe's book, and you know, also Torba's book. You know, if you've read Torba's book, it's a small little book, but like 20 pages of like a small thin little volume. It's only like 80 pages long, but 20 pages are dedicated to how we set up the Protestant magisterium. Yeah, and so it's only right that they're focused on this idea, because it's just very popular. This Protestant magisterium, Protestant Pope, reflexive, you know, integralist, you know, whatever it is, whatever other kind of words you want to put in that salad, put them in the salad. That's how it goes. Obviously, I'm being facetious. None of that is in the book. This is just the route they've chosen to go. But it doesn't have to be this way. Like you don't have to lie about our positions. Here's a few more, and we're gonna go more into this because G3 has been acting so foolishly for the last few weeks, and it's just like every time they get on Twitter for the last few weeks, they put on their clown shoes and they say the stupidest stuff possible about Christian nationalism. And it doesn't have to be that way. I've got critiques of Christian. I'm a Christian nationalist, and I've got critiques of other Christian nationalists that are actually legitimate critiques, because people are legitimately holding these positions. You don't have to put your clown shoes on and say we need a Protestant Pope. Who's it going to be? Who's going to be the Protestant Pope? Now, this is something OFallon's saying, and OFallon's a smart guy, so he's doing it intentionally, and he's doing it knowing full well that Torba's book doesn't mention it. Stephen Wolfe's book doesn't mention it. None of us talk about setting up a Protestant magisterium, and it's just so crazy. Anyway. So here's a couple examples of what I'm talking about, right? So this guy was kind of going back and forth with G3 Scott Aniol, and he said, so what's the deal? Like Plymouth Colony, when they had their little compact and stuff, they were going to found a colony, and they were going to found it for the glory of God and the advancement of the Christian faith. That's why we're going to this new world. We're gonna establish an outpost, a colony. We're gonna set up a little town where we can use as a way to sort of spread the gospel to the nations. It's gonna be like an outpost. We're gonna have our base of operations here, and we're gonna spread the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ in this land. That was their goal, right? And Scott, he's just so slavishly dedicated to this nonsense that it's just like, that's unbiblical to do that. You can't do that. You can't establish a colony for the glory of God and the advancement of the Christian faith. Strictly speaking, that's unbiblical. Clown shoes. Again, clown shoes. Here's a tweet from OFallon a couple days ago, where he puts someone being tortured by I assume these are Catholics. I don't really know this picture, but someone being tortured. And here's what he says. He says, "Was it by grace that you were saved, or was it by ecclesial and government coercion?" And it's like, again, it's like no one is in on the Christian nationalist side is saying this is how we convert the nations. We torture them, and we say, if you don't become a Christian, we're going to torture you. We're going to penalize you. We're going to kill you, or something like that. Like, OFallon knows full well none of us say that. He knows that. But this is the route he's chosen to attack. Clown shoes. This is what's happening. They're putting on their clown shoes, and they're going out there and making clown arguments. It doesn't have to be this way, guys. It doesn't. We're going to go much more in depth about OFallon's tweets and about G3's tweets. As I understand it, OFallon's involved with G3, maybe on the board or something. I don't really know if that's still the case or if that ever was the case. I'm pretty sure it is, but they're I'm gonna even if they're not, I'm gonna use them as a group because they're both coming from the same place. I don't know the G3 guys all that well, but I know OFallon is smarter than this. He's smarter than to think we actually do believe that kind of stuff, and so this is a tactic for him. And I don't know how he justifies this tactic, but that's his business. It's not mine. But the point is, though, that it doesn't have to be this way, because I think a lot of the people that OFallon speaks to, the people that that retweet him, that in the comment section comment, they're concerned. Their concern is okay, blasphemy laws, that seems like a bridge too far. Sabbath laws, like we can't have that kind of overtly Christian stuff in our government. We can't do that kind of stuff. It's scary. They're going to come persecute Baptists and things like that. And that's their concern, right? I don't think they need to be concerned with that, but that is their concern. A lot of people, not everyone, but that's a main one, right? That's the main one. Oh, what about religious freedom, right? Don't we need to have the freedom to worship Buddha if we want to, or Allah, or whatever the case may be? Don't we need that freedom? Isn't that something that the Bible teaches, religious freedom? That's their concern. And the thing is, and what's amazing is at the same time, we get people like Andrew T. Walker, who I'm going to go thermonuclear on as well. That's definitely going to happen. We got Andrew, his thing is, this whole Christian nationalism discussion is a distraction. You guys don't have anybody. You don't have numbers. You don't have anything. So it's just a LARP. It's just a fantasy. Stop fantasizing about it. It's never going to happen, guys. It's a LARP. And so at the same time, you got these kind of two lines of argumentation, right? On the one hand, it's very dangerous. And the other hand, it's not going to happen. You don't have numbers. Now, I would agree to some extent that Andrew T. Walker is right. We don't have numbers yet, and that's very true. However, you have to start wherever you're at, right? You don't have the numbers yet, but let's just face it, Andrew, you're gonna have to come to terms with this. We've got more people today than we did yesterday, and we're going to have more people tomorrow than we do today, and that's how you build momentum for a movement. And the thing is, a lot of people think you need to have 50% of the electorate to institute your agenda. That's not true. That's not true, even a little bit. I mean, look at the gays, right? Look at LGBT. I mean, they're a small percentage of people, and yet their religion is official in our country. It is official. It's the official insanity that we're all living our lives around. That's how easy it is. You need a small percentage, and you need some strategic wins, of course. You need some strategic placement of people. You need some things, of course, but you've got to build, and you've got to build starting from where you're at, and that's kind of what we're doing. So the thing is, though, that Sabbath laws, blasphemy laws, all of that stuff, I've got strong opinions on that. I am pro Sabbath laws. I am pro blasphemy laws. A lot of people that follow me, a lot of people that listen to me probably aren't. And guys, that is completely okay. We can work together because realistically, Andrew T. Walker is right. Right now, we don't have numbers. We don't have enough momentum. We don't have, we're not ready to take over just yet. And because of that, we've got basic problems, basic things that I think G3 and even Michael OFallon, although I'm not sure, to be perfectly honest, I don't really know where Michael OFallon stands anymore, partially because I can't even read his tweets. I don't understand them. There's so many words there that I just don't understand how they go together. It's above my head. That's okay. I went to public school. I'm okay with that. I do take it as disrespect, though. But the thing is, so I think OFallon we can team up with this. But this is kind of where we're at right now, right? Because I'm a theonomist. Everyone knows that about me, and if you don't know that about me, I'm a theonomist. I mean, there you go. I'm not hiding it. It's just I don't really talk about the terms too much because I don't think that they're really all that helpful, to be perfectly honest with you. So at least when you're not in a theological conversation, right? There's a time and a place to use theological terms, and I just don't think it's common everyday speak, right? So anyway, whatever. But I've got a lot of things I'd like to see made into law. I'd like to bring I'd like to eliminate a lot of the prison system. Ideally, I'd like to bring restitution back, and if someone can't pay you back that stole from you, they should become your servant. They should become your slave, and they should pay you back over time. Whatever they owe and that kind of thing. I think we should have less prisons and more of that. These are all things that I know people don't agree with me on. And anyway, even if people did agree with me on, we just don't have the numbers. And when you're dealing with real life, you got to understand, like, you're not going to change the prison system overnight in real life. Ideally, I want to eliminate it. But in real life, I know that that's not possible, right? So I'm not going to make, for example, the test of a candidate I'll vote for, will they eliminate the prison system or not? I believe that it's right to do that, but if I'm dealing in real life, this is the big thing I think a lot of people struggle with. You've got to deal in real life. You just have to. You know what I mean? Real life is not clean and neat. It's messy and dirty. And so you don't have to agree with me about prisons for me to work with you on basic stuff. There's like two things right now. Two things. And there's some other things we could add to this list, but really, in my mind, there's two things that we can work together right now, and we can fight about blasphemy laws in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, when it's more realistic to enact a blasphemy law. Because I think that's realistic within a few decades. That's my belief. But Andrew T. Walker, how about this? How about we agree to work together on banning the murder of innocents in our land, the murder of children, the murder of babies, man. Just look at this kid. There are freaking demons in our country that would have no problem murdering this kid right here, minutes before this picture was taken. Maybe not minutes, a few hours before this picture was taken. Hours before this picture was taken. Murder with impunity. We're not talking the nuance of a blasphemy law or the tax rate or something like that. Like, if you disagree with me on what tax rates should be, no problem, right? You don't have to call yourself a Christian nationalist. You don't have to call yourself a Christian anything. But if you are a Christian, and you don't even have to say I'm doing Christian politics. If you think that's unbiblical, you think that's not right to do that in politics, I don't care. I really don't care. Call yourself whatever you want. But this is like there are people, and they're winning, by the way, right now, that think that you should be able to kill this child with impunity. That's one of the major things that we can work together on this, guys. Whether you're a Christian nationalist or not, this is one of the focuses of Christian nationalism in the here and now, right? We want to elect people that say, look, I make no bones about it. I am a Christian, and because God is there, and because I'm a servant of God, I am objectively a servant of God, I absolutely have to do every single thing in my power, even if it's top down, to end the murder of babies with impunity. It can be done, and it can be done overnight, and it's the right thing to do. You don't have to wait for everyone in your district to be against abortion too. You can actually just serve God. It can be done. And it needs to be done. It needs to be done. Like the whole thing with the top down versus bottom up, top down. Listen, to me, that's a strategic thing, right? Because of course, if 99% of the people in your land just love killing babies, right? And you're the king, right? And 99% of the people of your subjects love killing babies, and you don't. Right, and you decide to ban it, they're going to chop your head off. They're going to chop your head off. And yeah, I mean, it's not going to last very long. You're like, your reign as king, if you decide we're going to ban abortion anyway, even though 99% of the people are against it, okay, fine. But your reign as king will be very long. I get it. I understand. That from that perspective, it does need to be bottom up. There needs to be some kind of consent of the people, and they need to be not as rabidly for what you're banning. Otherwise, you're going to have a one-day rule as king. Fine. And if that's what you have to do, if that's your position, and that's your lot in life, you're going to be a martyr for wanting to save babies, then there you go. That's good. That's good for you. So on that hand, of course, it has to be bottom up. But that's not our situation in America, right? In our situation in America, you could ban it overnight, And yeah, there'd be pushback, there'd be blowback, but it can be done. It could still be done in many states, especially from on a state level. On a state level, this can be done in many states, and it ought to be done, and it should be top down, and it should be for the glory of God. And make no bones about it. Don't hide it. I'm doing this because this is what God requires. That's what Christian nationalists are looking for, right? And there's nothing shameful about that. And here's the thing: if your commitment to religious liberty is so much so that you would not vote for a candidate who wants to end abortion simply because they say, well, I'm doing this because I'm a Christian. If that's enough for you to not support that candidate, that's a big problem, man. That's a big problem, in my opinion. So there's that. So abortion, right? We can work together. It doesn't have to be this way. The second thing is the LGBT stuff. We need to use the force of law to restrain and restrict the perversion of our land. And it's not just with kids, by the way. Like that's the low-hanging fruit. And I'm glad that people are at least availing themselves of the low-hanging fruit, right? Like, sure, abortion is the easiest moral question anyone's been asked ever. If you don't get that right, I'm really not interested in the rest of what you have to say. It's just so obvious that, of course, anything more nuanced, I can't trust you. That doesn't mean you're wrong about everything else you've ever said, obviously, because that's the other thing. It was like, what do you mean? Do you think that means that they're automatically wrong about everything? No, but I'm not interested because I can't trust you. But the second easiest moral question anyone's ever been asked is, should we give perverts access to children? And it's like, if you get that wrong, like, again, it's a similar thing. I'm just really not interested in the rest of what you have to say. So no, you shouldn't give perverts access to children. The grooming part of LGBT is a problem, but actually the rest of it is too. Contrary to what Don Jr. thinks, the rest of the perversion is also damaging. And of course, it always leads to the perversion of children. So like you can't, there's no like hermetic ceiling that you can put there. Is it hermetic ceiling? I don't know. I went to public school. That says, okay, adults perverting the land, that's okay, but we're going to seal it for kids. Like this far, no further. No, it's there's no such thing as that. It always leads to the rest of the perversion. But yeah, you need to use the force of law against this stuff. Like you should not be publicly allowed to gallivant around the way that they do in the pride parades. You should not be allowed to do that. That should be against the law. And it's like, it's this kind of stuff was obvious not too long ago. Not too long ago, this kind of stuff was obvious. Can't run around naked, can't run around. It's just like, anyway. Maybe you don't agree with me on the level of how much the law should be brought against the LGBT. Like, there should be no accommodations made for LGBT folks. Zero. No accommodations whatsoever. Because here's the thing. It's like we just want rights, right? But you don't have the right to do anything you want, right? So like I was just filling out forms for the baby, right? For the birth certificate. And the forms are they're a jumbled mess. Because in New Hampshire, they're trying to make accommodations for other kinds of couples and things like that, and they're hard to read the forms now because it's like, what does this mean? Like partner, spouse, husband? It's like, and you go and you don't know which section to fill because it's a disaster, right? There should be no accommodations like that made for homosexuals. None. No accommodations. No special privileges. No special accommodations. That doesn't mean that you take away their rights, but it means you don't make accommodations for them. And that should be pretty uncontroversial for people, conservative believers on our side. Like there's no special accommodations to pervert the land, to sin against God. No special accommodate, because again, the government is a servant of God. It's a deacon of God. So you shouldn't get should get no special accommodations to rebel against him. If you want to rebel against him, go ahead and do it. Just, keep it private. So I don't need to know about it. But the thing is, like at the end of the day, anyway, I think you get my point. Like if someone's cross-dressing in their house, obviously I'm against that. But if they keep it in their house and I never know about it, well, I mean, I never know about it, right? Like obviously there's nothing I'm not gonna like put a camera in your house, obviously. But when you step outside and you're trying to get, the force of law to say, hey, no, you're actually a she, that's where That's where the deacon of God jumps into action. That's where the deacon of God ought to jump into action. Anyway, I think you get my point. My whole point here is this. There are other things that we could focus on right now, right? But the two issues that we have in front of us that are so pressing, they're very, very pressing, they're basic. They're not complicated. There's not a whole lot of nuance. So we can work together on these things. We can work together to end. And if you're a little scared of the LGBT stuff, you're not quite sure, okay, then fine. Then let's work together on abortion. Again, there's so much unity on the issue of abortion as far as should it be legal or not, that we should move forward where we're strong, and that's somewhere where we're strong, right? And if you can't work with me on abortion, because I believe that at some point in the future, when we have a Christian nation, we should enact Sabbath laws. I think you've got a serious problem on your hands. I really do. And I personally, I mean, I'm not your pastor, but I think you should examine your own heart. If you can't vote for the same, this is the thing, like, because we're going to be voting for the same candidates most of the time, I think, right? Like, I think that's pretty common and pretty obvious. But if you can't vote for the same candidate because that candidate is wooing the Christian nationalist vote, even though they're going to do all the same stuff you want them to do, but because that Christian nationalist thinks that one day we should have a blasphemy law, I think you've got a serious problem. I think you've kind of made an idol of politics. To borrow a term from Big Eva, like, there's an appropriate way to use that term and there's an inappropriate way to use that term. I think at that point you're like, your politics need to be so pure that, like, it's almost blasphemous in my opinion. In any case, but yeah, consider this an olive branch, guys. Like, how about we work together on the basic stuff, and then one day when we have this fight, and someone and just one person that's popular says, we need to have a Protestant magisterium, then you can get your stupid memes out, and you can say this. This is not happening, and I personally don't think it's going to happen. But if it did happen, go ahead, take your memes out. But for right now, guys, like, how about we just work together? How about we just work together against the abortion stuff and against the LGBT stuff? Look, there's a few other issues that we could talk about. I think those two, there's so much agreement in general about that maybe we should just focus on those two for right now. These are basic questions, guys, and these are questions that they're central to the devil and the pagans, because these are things that God commanded in the very beginning. What did he say to man? What did he say to Adam? Be fruitful and multiply. That was one of the first commands. It might have been the first command. I think it was the first command. Be fruitful and multiply. And we've got a society that its religion is to kill their own progeny, to kill their children, so you're not going to multiply, and to promote perversions that will make it so that you cannot be fruitful. So God says, be fruitful and multiply. He repeats the command. It's his first command, and he repeats it. And our pagan culture's religion says no. Let's start there. It's the first command, guys. There's other stuff coming down the line. Of course, we can debate blasphemy laws. We can debate tax rates. We can debate prisons. We can debate all this kind of stuff that I've got strong opinions on. I'm willing to kind of set those debates aside because realistically, they're really not that much of a... Nobody's debating whether or not to eliminate prisons or not, right? When that debate comes, I'll have strong opinions on it. And we can talk all about how I don't like prisons, right? And I don't think they're biblical and all that kind of thing. Right now, though, that's not the issue that's before us. The issue that the Lord has chosen to put before his people today is basic. It's Genesis stuff, guys. Your country's religion is saying no to my basic first command, be fruitful and multiply. What say you? Let's work together, guys. It doesn't have to be this way. I love the guys at G3. I don't want them to be making embarrassing arguments like this. It's at the end of the day, if they want to make them, I can't stop them. and I'll fight you. You know, you want to fight? I'll fight. We'll fight. And that's the thing. Like you know, James White was upset about this meme, and a few other people were upset. A guy reached out to me in private about this meme as well, very offended by it. And here's the thing, guys. Like, for the last 2 weeks, we've endured brain dead take after brain dead take after brain dead take. A lot of these are just blatant lies, such as the OFallon, was it by grace that you were saved, or was it by the government coercion? It's like, that's brain dead. We've been enduring this for 2 weeks, and honestly, like, that's vicious. Like, those are lies, guys. You're lying. And so, like, I responded with a meme to try to make light of this, because I don't want to go thermonuclear on G3. I like the G3 guys. I don't want them to embarrass themselves anymore. So I put a meme out to make light of it, and somehow this is the divisive thing. It's not the lies about Christian nationalism that's divisive. It's this that's divisive. Where have I heard this before? It's just amazing, you know, because I think a lot of us have chosen to try to laugh this off because, you know, we don't want to go to war with G3. I really don't. I think we can work together, guys, though. I think we can work together on abortion and the LGBT stuff. OFallon, can we work together on abortion and the LGBT stuff? Do you want to ban abortion, OFallon? Do you want abortion to be punishable as murder for the mother and for the child? I think you do. I don't really know your position on abortion, but I respect you enough to assume you probably do want to do that. Let's work together, man. Let's do it. You can keep posting this kind of stuff if you like, but let's just see some forward action on some of that stuff. What about the LGBT stuff? This one I'm a little less sure about, Michael, to be honest with you, and primarily because your association with Lindsay. The Bible says that bad company corrupts good morals, and I know that Lindsay in the past has I know he's against like the grooming stuff, and again, that's easy. That's the low-hanging fruit. But I know in the past he's kind of lamented that the church has been against the gays too much. Where do you stand on that stuff? Can we work together on the LGBT part of this religion as well? Like I think we can, Michael. I've got a lot of optimism that we can work together, because this is so basic. It's basic to the Bible. It's basic to God's law, and the government, if it's a deacon of God, which it is, then we can focus on these two things, because God has been generous to us. The very two things that are most pressing right now in our culture are the basic things. It's not complicated stuff like tax rates. It's not complicated stuff like blasphemy laws, which I think are not that complicated, but they're more complicated, especially in our context. They're more complicated than the abortion thing and the LGBT thing. Here is the olive branch, guys. Let's work together. I'm a Christian nationalist. I do not care if you're a Christian nationalist. I don't care. You can be one or you can not be one. I still want to work with you to end abortion and to suppress the LGBT stuff as much as biblically possible with the force of law. Can we work together? I think we can, guys. I really do. I think we can. I've made my point. God bless you. I'm going to do the rest of these videos. We'll see how thermonuclear they are, because I feel like I've just, I don't know, it's a whole new lease on life. By the way, guys, I don't know how to really explain this, but I feel like Israel right now, because if you remember, he loved Joseph a lot because he was the child of his old age. I'm not a crier. I didn't cry at my grandmother's funeral. I just typically don't cry. Even if I'm sad, I typically don't cry. If I'm really sad, I'll make like sounds like that, but I don't cry. And I gotta be honest, and I never cried or even almost cried when my other three boys were born. But for some reason, when this guy came out, I didn't cry, but I felt it. Oh man, I felt the tears kind of welling up. They kind of got sucked back in, but I felt it, man. I don't know what it is, but I'm 40. I had another son, and I got emotional. I'm not gonna lie. So maybe this is just God's way of saying, you just need to calm down. I don't know. I hope you found this video helpful. God bless.